Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, A Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today, I'm going to read a few lines from this book, The Key to Excellence, written by Charlie Tremendous Jones. I made another video on one of his other books, Life is Tremendous, and in that video, I talked about the concept that can be briefly stated thus. Actually, it's a law of leadership, one of the laws of leadership, and briefly stated, it is this: production precedes perfection. That is, in order to become good at any activity, you need to start doing it, and aiming at perfection at the very beginning is a wrong approach. And a flawed approach, and it goes against nature, because in nature you'll see that everything happens in stages, and in the initial stages of any new activity you're going to falter. That's very natural. So, for example, if you're learning a new language, it's very natural to make some mistakes in pronunciation, mistakes in grammar, mistakes in sentence construction, mistakes in idioms. So if you become scared, or if you start hesitating, and if you are afraid of making mistakes, then it might be very difficult for you to acquire expertise in that field. That's why I made a video on one of the books of Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, The Secret of Success. In that video, I talked about these two guys. One of them was a graduate, but he was hesitant, and he was very cautious when speaking, and he was afraid of making mistakes when speaking in English. And his friend was not a graduate, had passed the 10th standard, I think, as far as I can remember the story. But he had this attitude of mastering the English language, and he used a phrase or kind of sentence in which he said that I'll keep making mistakes until I acquire mastery, or until I start speaking English flawlessly. And this other fellow who had this kind of attitude of doing something despite making mistakes, despite faltering here and there initially, but ultimately succeeding in what he aimed to do. And that's what happened in his life. So the graduate was still scared of making mistakes, and he did not make progress in his English speaking skills. But the other fellow was not a graduate, but whose attitude was that in any activity, when you start doing something, if you start a new activity, you will make mistakes in the initial stages. So similarly, it applies to anything new. For example, if you want to make your own YouTube channel, but if you're afraid of making mistakes, then, my friend, that will be very difficult for you to acquire expertise in the days and months and years to come. So just go ahead with your decision and start with whatever resources you have in place, or whatever resources you have access to. You need not need expensive equipment to start a channel. You just need a phone, and you just maybe need a computer, or even if you don't have a computer, that's fine. You can do most of the things on the phone nowadays. So using your abilities and talents and your knowledge and skill, you definitely can start a YouTube channel. I'm just giving one example. So this principle that production precedes perfection applies to every field, and it applies everywhere. It's a universal law of success. Now let's see what gem or pearl Mr. Jones has to share with us today. So I'll read a few lines, and then we'll discuss them briefly. Well, I have done you enough damage. Well, I think this is based on a speech or a talk he delivered at some company or some organization. So I may have to skip a few lines here and there. So let me read this. Well, I've done you enough damage. I may as well quit now. I want to close. I wish I could take hours and hours on my favorite subject, the power of books. So these are his closing remarks. I wish I could take hours and hours on my favorite subject, the power of books. I heard this statement years ago and remind myself of it every day of my life now. I love to say it again today. Truth never gets old. It gets more rare, real, and fresh every day of your life. Now, here's the statement. Now, it might sound a bit ungrammatical. Now, I try to analyze its grammar, but I've always found the sentence structure a bit confusing. But I'll let you know what he means to say in this, or what he's trying to convey through these words. You are the same today you are going to be 5 years from now, except for two things. You are the same today you're going to be 5 years from now, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. And this is the statement that this video is based on. The people you meet and the books you read. Hang around thinkers, you will be a better thinker. Hang around achievers, you will be better achievers. Hang around givers, you will be a better giver. But now there is a contrast here. Hang around a bunch of thumb-sucking, complaining, griping boneheads, and you will be a better thumb-sucking, complaining, griping bonehead. I think he's using some slang and some non-standard terms here. Now, there's only one trouble. When you leave here today, you can't take any of the speakers home, but their books are lying out there, and if you thought you enjoyed them today, wait until you get home tonight or next week and your heart's aching a little bit and you need to be refreshed. You sit down and read that book. You'll love him and you'll know him and you'll understand it and you'll see so many things you didn't see today. So, just one more line. Wait till you take the book home and read it. The power of a book. So what Charlie Tremendous Jones is referring to is that you can't take those speakers home now, because this must have been a seminar in some organization or some company or maybe some other town hall or roundtable conference, some kind of public gathering where there might have been other speakers other than Charlie Tremendous Jones. So that's why he's saying, he's talking to the audience and he's telling them that they won't be able to take the speakers home along with them. They won't. But they would be able to take their books. So I think usually in these seminars, if you, for example, I've attended some seminars conducted by some international trainers, like for example Brian Tracy. So you'll find all these books on display, and I also attended a training program conducted by Dr. Francis Xavier, who's no more. So he too used to, display his books on a table, maybe on the right-hand side of the training seminar or at the back. So they usually do this to promote the book and also to, help their audience. So what Charlie Tremendous Jones is saying in that passage is this: that is, you will be the same today. You are the same today. You're going to be 5 years from now, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. So what you are today, you are going to be the same 5 years from now, but there has to be something different in between these two points of time, or in that gap of 5 years. There has to happen something in order for you to change. So if you want to change, and if you don't want to remain the same as you are at the moment, if you want to be a different person 5 years from now, different in a sense, in a positive sense, I mean, we might be different in a negative sense as well, that is, we might become worse. But if we want to be better than what we are at the moment 5 years from now, then there are two things that can make that different. One is the people we meet, and the other is the books we read. Now, we don't have much control over whom we meet and whom we choose to be friends with, or we cannot choose, our kind of, what do you call that? The environment, or Uh, I mean, it's not always possible to choose who we are going to be around with. I mean, we can choose not to be with certain people, but to choose to be with those people who can help us in our positive growth, help us become better human beings, help us intellectually and morally and spiritually. It's not always possible. And it's very difficult to assess some people. So you need to interact with them for years in order to truly understand whether they will have a positive influence on you or not. So that's why Charlie Tremendous Jones thinks that it's better to take these books along with you, or keep them to hand, or keep them in your reading room. So whenever you need motivation, whenever you need knowledge, whenever you need some kind of spiritual or intellectual food, you can get those things from good books. So if you want to be a different person from now, from 5 years from now, then you need to meet good people, positive people, and or I should say, or you need to read good books. The first part is not much under our control. I mean, occasionally we can go to these seminars and training programs, we can listen to all these positive thinkers, but then how do we have access to them on a daily basis? That's why books help us. That's why it's a good habit to start your day with something positive every day. So for example, in one of my videos I mentioned these 4 positive books that you can read every day. I mean, a few pages from these. So one of them is The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. The other one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The third one is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the other one, the fourth one, is also by Dale Carnegie. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. So these are some of the books that you can read every day to program your mind positively. And similarly, you can read the scriptures of your religion. Scriptures of all religions are a positive source of encouragement for they have been so for thousands of years. So we can take advantage of books of that kind. Then we need to read books related to our profession. So in order to become better at what we do and increase our proficiency, we need to read books related to our profession as well. And we need to read books on language, because nowadays quite a few of us work from home. So usually we communicate through our words, and very rarely do we communicate through our expressions and body language, because when you work from home, you just most of the times you either talk to people or you just type your message on the screen and then send it through one of these messenger applications or messaging tools. So there is not much influence of your body language in your communication. So what matters then is your tone, and also the words you use, the sentences you construct, and your pronunciation, your the way you speak and the way you express yourself. So what I'm trying to say is, you need to become better at the language that you use in your office. We need to improve our language, our understanding of our mother tongue as well. It's not that, just because a language is our mother tongue, we need to stop developing ourselves in that area. For example, I remember John Ruskin's quotation. I don't remember the exact words, but I remember that he said that it takes a lifetime to master one's own mother tongue. And remember, Ruskin was one of the greatest Victorian writers, and he influenced Mahatma Gandhi through his classic Unto This Last. So if you read Unto This Last, you'll realize what great what a master he was in the handling of English words. So it's very poetic language, and the words just flow like a gentle stream. So what I'm trying to say is someone with that kind of mastery of the English language had this to say, that it takes a lifetime to learn one's own mother tongue. So we should not become arrogant and believe that we know our mother tongues better than others. We need to learn our mother tongues as well. So it's better to buy a grammar book of your own mother tongue, grammar dictionaries, just as we should buy dictionaries and grammar and usage books related to the language we use in office. So these are some of the ways books can help us. Let me think whether I've missed anything. So we need to buy books related to our profession. We need to buy books related to our related to language. We need to buy books related to a positive attitude, and we need to buy books related to our religion or related to spiritual growth. And we also can buy books on books that develop our thinking processes. For example, books written by John Maxwell on how we think, and then books written by Stephen Hawking, or some of the ancient books of Newton and Einstein. So it gives us a better perspective of how they thought and what events influenced them in order to come up with these grand theories of the universe. So to recapitulate, this is the quotation that you should remember, just as Charlie Tremendous Jones used to remember it throughout his life. You are the same today you are going to be 5 years from now, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. Hang around thinkers, you'll be a better thinker. Hang around achievers, you'll be better achievers. Hang around givers, you'll be a better giver. Hang around a bunch of thumb-sucking, complaining, griping boneheads, and you will be a better thumb-sucking, complaining, griping bonehead. Now, the language might seem a bit harsh, but that's true. So if you are around people who are negative, that negativity will kind of infect you. But you still can maintain control and take control of your attitude and decide what you're going to think. But that might consume a lot of energy, because it takes a lot of energy to maintain positive attitude, and it takes a lot more energy to maintain that attitude when you are in a negative environment. So as I said, it's very difficult to choose our environment, but it's very easy, and it's within our reach to buy books on positive attitude, and books related to our profession, books related to our religion, and books related to language, and books related to any other field that you want to master. So I hope you like this video. Thanks a lot.